What is good, people? Welcome back to another video on 8 Count. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the George Kambosos Jr. against Haney fight, which went down on Saturday night, Sunday morning here for me in the UK. But first of all, yeah, guys, if you do enjoy the video, please leave a like, comment down below. Let me know how many rounds could you really score for George Kambosos in this fight, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. But yeah, guys, it was a really good weekend on the boxing side of things. We obviously had Joe Cordina beating Ogawa, or Agawa, I don't really know how you meant to pronounce it. And we also had Fulton winning convincingly against Rahman. But this was the fight I think people were most intrigued by, including myself. It was a fight coming in where I think Haney was the favourite, and I think he proved why he was the favourite. But there were things you could, pick out in Kambosos Jr., which made you think he could really give Haney problems. But coming into the fight, I did end up picking Devin Haney by decision, which was the end result. I know the judges, two of the judges, I think, scored 4 rounds for Kambosos in this fight, and I think that is super generous. I think it's generous giving him 3. I give him 3 when I was watching it live. Watching it again, I could probably see 2 realistically. But I think I was kind of rooting for Kambosos Jr. in this fight, and maybe the first time round it kind of swayed my viewing. But I think in some of the rounds, you did see Devin Haney stick behind the jab like he did the entirety of the fight, but not always do too much with it. And I think Kambosos' aggressiveness could maybe sway your opinion in some of his rounds. But yeah, for me, it was an amazing performance by Devin Haney. I think he's getting a lot of backlash online as well as a lot of love. It was a beautiful performance behind the jab. I think he was measured throughout the whole fight. He picked the shots when he wanted to. He never put himself in a position where he was really vulnerable. And I think George Kambosos really struggled. For me, watching the fight, I thought that Kambosos was, potentially coming in a bit too linear at times. I would have liked to seen him, coming in at different angles and stuff like that. But I think that's the problem Haney has. And, coming into the fight, I did kind of talk about how I thought, Kambosos is a bit vulnerable to the jab, and Haney had a hell of a jab and, really made Kambosos pay for that. I think, there's talk of a rematch. I'm not sure if it's needed, to be honest. I think this one was quite clear. I'm not really sure what Kambosos, is going to be able to do between now and November to potentially really change the course of this fight. I think if it does happen, I think certain things are going to have to change. I think the fact that it was in Australia and the crowd was all behind him, I think that actually had a negative effect at times on Kambosos. For me, watching previous Kambosos performances, for me, he's not really a fighter who loads up a hell of a lot. In this fight, I felt he was doing that way more than normal. You could see him really loading up on the right hand at times and missing wildly. Whereas Haney was more composed and he wasn't really looking for the knockout. He was just letting his punches go. At certain times in the fight, I think, Haney was able to kind of freeze him, especially with the jab. And, I think Kambosos started to kind of wait for the jab to come. And sometimes it wouldn't come, and they'd be in this sort of position where nothing was happening for a while. And then, he kind of just freeze in the middle of the ring and not really do anything. And then he'd be woken up by a jab, which is, something which, Kambosos is so often, in his previous fights, just coming forward on the front foot and, he's not waiting on his opponent. In this fight, it wasn't the case. I think Haney earned his respect really early on, and he was never really able to sway that. I think Kambosos at times, while looking to close the distance, I don't think he did a great job at keeping his range, because at certain times it was way too easy for Haney to just clinch him. And, I think a lot of people were complaining online, a lot of the backlash that Haney got was for being boring. Sorry, as my phone goes off. But yeah, for me, it's hard to say because, he's going for undisputed champion and the biggest fight of his career. He might not get another fight, which is as big as this is in his whole career. But yeah, he fought behind the jab beautifully. I think a lot of the complaints are coming from, the fact that, potentially he didn't really look to throw too much more. And at times he was swarming and kind of just holding on to Kambosos in the clinch. I think Kambosos was really irritated by the clinching of Haney. I think Haney did a great job, though, of using it. I think if he was looking at it from a tactical standpoint, the way he was able just to shut down every time Kambosos got into position, he was happy. It must have been really frustrating. I was kind of surprised that we didn't really see more of the inside fighting of Devin Haney, because I think in his fight against Linares, he showed how much better he is on the inside than we kind of thought. And I thought he might have showed off a bit of that in this fight, but he really didn't. I think he was smart, educated, and, quite simply, he didn't take any risks. He made sure that if he was going to be on his A game, he was going to win this fight, and he was. It was a great performance. In terms of the rematch, I honestly don't think it should probably go ahead. I'd love to see Lomachenko take on Devin Haney. I think that's a really fun fight. And for me, even though Teofimo beat Lomachenko for me was always still the best in the division. I just felt he had an off night against Teofimo. Now, I think it's going to be, I think you might see Lomachenko come in as the underdog. I think with all the backlash which is going on in the Ukraine and the terrible war which is going on, I'm sure that's going to have a mental effect on him. I think that, the layoff is also going to have an effect on him. Coming straight in for an undisputed championship fight, it's a hard look. But for me, I think if anyone's going to beat Devin Haney, it's probably going to be him. I think Tank, I'm not too sure what he could really do to offset Haney. I'm not too sure. I think it'd be an interesting fight, but I think Haney is just too good behind the jab for Tank. And, Ryan Garcia, obviously they fought in the past in the amateurs, apparently 2-2. I'm not really sure. I think Haney's better than Ryan Garcia right now. But yeah, it's super interesting, guys. Let me know who you'd like to see Haney fight in the comments down below. Like I said, for me in this fight, 3 rounds maximum for George Kambosos, and that's all I can give him. But, it was a fun fight. At the end of the day, the build-up was fun. But what I loved the most about this fight was the respect at the end. Obviously, there was a bit of a thing in the ring, which I wasn't sure what was going on there, but you see Kambosos going into the locker room and he's giving Haney his props, which is what this sport's about. It's about finding out who's the best and, I think being gracious along the way. So well done to both competitors. If they do fight again, I'll be tuning in. But obviously I would prefer to see the Lomachenko fight. As always, guys, if you did enjoy the video, please leave a like, comment down below, let me know who you'd like to see Haney fight next, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming content. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing my reaction to the UFC Fight Night, Volkov against Rosenstrike, so be sure, don't miss it basically, guys, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.